What has happened to Arsenal Football Club? I'm going to be honest, in this video, I'm going to break down why Arsenal didn't sign anyone in January, what has happened to their depth, and what are the expectations going into next season if they don't win any silverware this season. It's an interesting time in the Premier League right now. You've got a top four race, which is really starting to heat up with potentially 6 teams in it. Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Forest, Newcastle, Manchester City and Chelsea. Liverpool are running away with the league. And then Arsenal are kind of pretty much not guaranteed a Champions League spot, but they are very close to being guaranteed a Champions League spot. But it's not enough. Arsenal fans right now all over the socials, some of my close friends, absolutely down in the dumps. But how has this happened? We're going to break that down. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. We're about 50 subscribers away from 46K, and about 89% of you, or sorry, 89% of you who watch the Arsenal content are not subscribed. So go and hit that subscribe button. Now, I want to cast everyone's minds back to when Edu Gaspar left as the director of football at Arsenal. Now, if this sort of thing would have happened at Tottenham, my club, halfway through the season, that would be alarm bells. Huge alarm bells, because Edu Gaspar's job and the role at Arsenal is to manage all footballing decisions, transfers, style of play, assist Arteta, and be the spokesperson between the board and the coach and the team, to my knowledge. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I think his role was. Edu Gaspar left before the January transfer window, which should be alarm bells for all Arsenal fans, knowing the fact that potentially you don't really have a transfer plan in January. Now, there is absolutely no excuse. Arsenal should have signed some players. The attacking injuries, Gabriel Jesus out for the end of the season. They knew going into this January window that Bukayo Saka would be out for a number of months. Raheem Sterling, in terms of this season, I think has only got 1 goal in all comps, and that was in the League Cup. Leandro Trossard, inconsistencies. Gabriel Martinelli, inconsistencies, also out injured. Kai Havertz, their main attacker in terms of striker position, season-ending injury. Now, I don't know, and I still to this day can't figure out why Arsenal didn't sign an attacker. You know, Sammy Mokbel from the Daily Mail, David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, everyone was gearing up throughout January for this to be a war chest of a transfer window in the summer. Concrete links out there to Nico Williams, interest with Alexander Isak, interest for Nico Williams. The problem that Arsenal have got now is that Liverpool will win the Premier League. They're too strong. They're going to do it. Manchester City are starting their rebuild now. They've brought in Omar Mamouche. They've brought in Nico Gonzalez. They're betting them players in now. So when they get to the summer, there's a massive, massive transformation in that Manchester City squad. Kevin De Bruyne, Kovacic, Ruben Diaz, John Stones, Ortega, Edison, up to 10 players could potentially leave Manchester City. This was supposed to be Arsenal's season. No one in their right mind thought Manchester City would fall off the way they are. And no one in their right mind thought Liverpool would be good this season. Arsenal getting to January, that they're within touching distance of Liverpool. Only 23 games played at the beginning of January, and they don't go out and sign anyone throughout an entire calendar month. Have they hung Arteta out to dry? Yes, they have, in my opinion. For Arsenal Football Club, the big question I have, And I would love for all of you fans, whether you're a Chelsea fan, Liverpool fan, Spurs fan, Arsenal fan, whoever you support, answer this question. Do Arsenal want to win? Because if you wanted to win, you would have gone out there and signed some players. My football club have been in the mud this season. We've had a diabolical season, Tottenham. But the one thing I will give credit for is we brought in Danso for around 30 million euros. We negotiated a deal with Bayern Munich for an option to buy the Matthias Tell for around 60 million euros. And we brought in Kinksky. Now, whether those 3 bits of business will turn out to be great bits of business, only time will tell. But we saw a problem and we tried to fix it. We had an injury crisis at centre-back. We brought in a centre-back. We're lacking attacking threat. We brought in Matthias Tell. You know, we had a goalkeeper crisis where we didn't have Vicario for a number of months. Fraser Forster not at the races. So we addressed that problem. Arsenal knew they had a problem. And they knew they had this problem for a long time. Now, why did I start this conversation talking about Edu Gaspar? Because Arteta's role has changed at the football club. He is no longer the head coach. He is now the manager. Does Arteta have more power at Arsenal than we think? Is he now one of the main factors at the hierarchy of Arsenal in charge of transfers? If he is, that is a big, big red flag. Every football club in the world, you look at Manchester City, we'll use them for example. They've had Tixi Birkenstein there for a long, long time. He's the main person in the recruitment office when it comes to making signings. Guardiola is the coach. His job is to coach the players, develop the players, and win. If Arteta is now managing these transfers like what we used to have in the 90s and early 2000s with the Jose Mourinhos of Chelsea, with the Alex Fergusons of Manchester United, with the Arsene Wengers, football isn't like that anymore. If Arsenal are adopting this approach, I don't know why they didn't sign a player. If Arsenal went out there, and I'm going to put these 2 players on the thumbnail. If they went out there and signed an Alexander Isak, if they went out there and signed a Nico Williams, Alexander Isak may be a bit more of a summer move, but they definitely could have negotiated a price for Nico Williams. West Ham went out there. West Ham went out there and signed the striker in Evan Ferguson. Now, I'm not saying Evan Ferguson is the answer for Arsenal, but they have no attacking threat. They're having to play a midfielder up front. That is not good enough. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. It doesn't matter how you want to sugarcoat it. It does not matter one bit. You know, don't get me wrong. They battered Manchester City. They then lost again to Newcastle for the 3rd time this season. They then beat Leicester with 2 late goals from Mikel Arteta. And then last season's game repeated itself. West Ham turn up to the Emirates and win. Now, in my opinion, the only thing that Arsenal have got to play for now is the Champions League. Unfortunately for Arsenal, if they do get past PSV, they will have to play Real Madrid. If they get past Real Madrid, they will have to play Liverpool. With no signings and no depth really in their team, I don't see how this is possible. Even if they get back Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli, Liverpool would have to lose 3 or 4 Premier League games, and Arsenal would have to practically win every single remaining game. Now, can you honestly say that they're going to win every single game? Nottingham Forest away, with a front line of Leandro Trossard, Raheem Sterling, and Mikel Arteta. The only shining light they've really had in their front 3 in the last month or so is Ethan Nwaneri. Manchester United away. Who knows? Arsenal are a confidence team. And if they lose against Nottingham Forest, that would be back-to-back Premier League defeats, going into a massive Champions League game against PSV, which the Manchester United fixture is sandwiched in between the home and the away leg, and the fixtures don't get any easier. Chelsea, Everton away, who have picked up form. Fulham, who have already had a couple of decent results in the last couple of years against Arsenal. Brentford, Palace, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle. In my opinion, the Premier League title race is done. Now, can Arsenal fans really say next year is going to be our year? At what point do fans start to question this project, this process? Because Arsenal right now are in a position where if Liverpool re-sign Mohamed Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent hypothetically, or Mohamed Salah goes, would Alexander Isak look at Liverpool or Arsenal? Liverpool have just won a Premier League, could win a Champions League, and are in a League Cup final. Or would he join Arsenal, knowing the fact they haven't won anything in 5 years? The reality is going to kick into a player of Alexander Isak's ability when making this sort of transfer decision. You know, Arsenal right now, if they want to go out and spend money in the summer, they have got to do minimum of £200 million, because Manchester City have just signed 5 or 6 players, and you can bet your bottom dollar they will add players in the summer. Now, everyone's ripping in, everyone's laughing about Manchester City, they're finished, etc., etc. They are allowed a year off. Rodri will be back in the summer. Nico Gonzalez and Rodri will probably be the midfield partnership going into next season with Foden. Then you'll probably have Marmoush on the left. They'll probably sign a winger, and they'll probably have Erling Haaland up front. They'll probably bring in a couple of fullbacks because they still haven't really replaced Kyle Walker. And the rebuild for Manchester City will start. If Liverpool go out there and sign Alexander Isak, Arsenal need to get this right. If they don't get this right, even more questions are going to be asked about Mikel Arteta. Even more questions are going to be asked about this Arsenal project. Stan Kroenke, why did Arsenal not go out there and sign a forward? If Arsenal went out there and brought Nico Williams in and Benjamin Sesko, I believe they would have beaten West Ham. I believe they would beat Nottingham Forest. And who knows? If Arsenal would have beaten West Ham at the weekend, do Liverpool go in and put that level of performance in against Manchester City? You know, Arsenal had the door open plenty of times. Liverpool drew to Villa. Liverpool drew to Fulham. Liverpool drew to Everton. Liverpool lost to Forest. But they failed to capitalise. And I question, do they want to win? Yes or no? Alexander Isak is the #1 summer transfer target. Why would Alexander Isak join Arsenal over Liverpool right now? Uncomfortable conversations need to be had. This could be 6 years in November that Arteta has been there. And fans are losing patience. Losing patience. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you do drop a like. Make sure you have that subscribe button. And I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching. I'm out.